Two massive storm systems are about to collide over the United States, and what happens next could shut down highways, knock out power to millions, and unleash the first major tornado outbreak of the season. All in the same week. Now stop what you are doing for a second, because if you live anywhere between the Rocky Mountains and the Atlantic Ocean, the next 7 to 10 days are going to demand your full attention. We are not talking about a minor inconvenience. We are not talking about a dusting of snow and some drizzle. We are talking heavy snow measured in feet, not inches, in some areas. A freezing rain corridor that could coat everything from Kansas City to Kentucky in a 1/4 inch of ice. And a severe weather outbreak with damaging winds, large hail, and yes, tornadoes, all firing up across the southern plains and the deep south, back to back, overlapping, one storm feeding into the next. And here is the number that should stop you in your tracks. Between now and March 12th, some areas of the south-central United States could receive over 6 inches of rain. Not snow, rain. Half a foot of water falling on ground that is already saturated from a winter that has refused to quit. That is a flooding disaster waiting to happen. Here is what I need you to do right now. Drop a comment below with the city or town where you live. I am going to be responding to as many of you as possible with specific forecasts for your area, because this video is going to cover more than 70 cities and locations across the country, but I know some of you need hyper-local details. So comment your location. I will find you, I promise. And here is your first reward for sticking with me. In the next 60 seconds, I am going to give you the exact timing of when each storm hits, where the worst impacts will be, and which cities need to start preparing right now. Most weather channels make you wait until the end. Not here. You are getting the critical information up front. But do not leave after that, because at the 5-minute mark, I am going to reveal something that almost nobody is talking about yet. A polar vortex disruption that could flip the entire weather pattern upside down in the 2nd and 3rd week of March. That is the part that could genuinely catch people off guard. I have been tracking this signal for days now, and it is getting stronger. If you have outdoor plans, travel plans, or you are a farmer worried about your crops, the 5-minute mark of this video is mandatory viewing for you. So let us break this down storm by storm, region by region. And I mean every region. West Coast, Central Plains, Gulf Coast, Ohio Valley, Northeast, Deep South, all of it. Nobody gets left out today. Storm number 1. This is the one that is already on our doorstep. Right now, as I am recording this, a high-pressure system is sitting across the northern plains. Things look calm, quiet, almost boring. But do not let that fool you. Within 24 hours, moisture is going to surge over the Rockies and everything changes. Here is the thing. The models are fighting each other on this one. The GFS model, which is one of our primary forecast tools, has been the most aggressive. It is showing a large batch of heavy snowfall developing late tomorrow night, rolling into early Monday morning. The European model, way more conservative, almost dismissive. And when you have two major models disagreeing this much on a storm that is less than 24 hours away, that tells you something important. The atmosphere is on a knife edge. Small changes in temperature, even 1 or 2 degrees, will determine whether you get 6 inches of snow or a 1/4 inch of ice or just cold rain. Let me give you the timing, and this is what matters most. For Kansas and Nebraska, precipitation begins tomorrow evening, somewhere around 6 to 8 p.m. local time. This starts as a mix. Could be snow, could be sleet, could be freezing rain. By midnight, things intensify. The peak of this event for the Central Plains is between midnight tomorrow night and 6 a.m. Monday morning. That is your danger window. If you are in Wichita, Topeka, or anywhere in eastern Kansas, do not plan on driving during those hours unless you absolutely have to. Kansas City. You are right on the freezing line, and that is actually the worst place to be. Here's what nobody tells you about freezing rain. Snow is manageable. You can plow it. You can shovel it. But 1/10 of an inch of ice on every road, every bridge, every power line, that is a completely different animal. Kansas City could see anywhere from a glaze to 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation. That does not sound like much, but let me put it in perspective. 1/10 of an inch of ice on power lines adds roughly 500 pounds of weight per span. That is what causes lines to snap. That is what causes the outages. St. Louis, you are in the crosshairs of the heaviest precipitation with this first system. The GFS model has been aggressively showing several inches of heavy, wet snow for St. Louis and surrounding areas of eastern Missouri. Now, the European model is way lower, maybe a coating to an inch. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but here is my concern, and I want you to really hear this if you are in the St. Louis metro. Columbia, Missouri, Jefferson City, the entire Interstate 70 corridor from Kansas City east to St. Louis. Some of the short-range models, including the high-resolution models that just came in, are dumping surprising amounts of snow in this zone. We are talking potentially 3 to 5 inches in a narrow band. And one model, the RRFS, which is actually replacing the older NAM model, went absolutely wild and showed close to 2 feet in parts of Missouri. Now, I do not think that is going to verify. Let me be real with you. Almost certainly not 2 feet. But when a model screams that loud, it is telling you something important. The atmospheric ingredients are there for someone to overachieve in a big way. Somebody in this corridor is going to wake up Monday morning, look outside, and be genuinely shocked by what they see. The question is just who? Illinois. Springfield down to the St. Louis metro area on the Illinois side, you are in the same boat. Heavy, wet snow is possible. This is the kind of snow that breaks tree limbs, the kind that makes driving nearly impossible because it packs down into a slick layer on the roads faster than plows can clear it. Now let us talk about what happens after the snow falls, because this is where it gets tricky. As this system moves east through Monday, it runs into cold air that is already locked in across the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic, and this is where the freezing rain threat really ramps up. Louisville, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, you need to be on high alert for Monday morning. By around 4 a.m. Monday through about noon, there is a real threat of freezing rain and sleet in your area. How much? Probably not enough for an ice storm, but enough to make the morning commute extremely dangerous. We are talking a light glaze on bridges and overpasses first, then spreading to regular roadways if temperatures stay below 32 degrees long enough. Cincinnati, you are on the edge. Temperatures in your area may stay just warm enough to keep this as cold rain. But if the cold air is a little more stubborn than expected, and that is entirely possible, you could wake up Monday morning to an icy mess. Watch your local forecast closely Monday morning. If overnight lows drop below 30, that changes everything for you. Let us push further east, and this is actually where I have more confidence in the forecast, not less, because there is a second wave coming. Storm number 2 hits the northeast Tuesday into Wednesday, and here is where it gets interesting. This second system looks like a bigger deal than the first one. While storm number 1 is a messy, hard-to-pin-down event across the central United States, storm number 2 has a clearer signal. Pennsylvania, listen up. From Pittsburgh east to Philadelphia, Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday morning is your window. A combination of snow and freezing rain is expected to move through. Now, I am not comparing this to that, nor Easter we just had about a week ago. That was a monster. This is not that. But we are still talking about potentially 3 to 6 inches of snow across parts of interior Pennsylvania, with ice accumulation on top of it. Virginia, Northern Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, and the mountains of West Virginia. You are in the zone for the worst icing with this second event. Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning, freezing rain could accumulate to around 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. For those of you in the mountains, this could be worse. Elevations above 2,000 feet could see heavier ice accumulation, and that means potential power outages. If you have a generator, make sure it is fueled up and ready to go. If you do not have one, charge your devices. Fill some water containers. Basic preparedness. Maryland, Baltimore, and the surrounding metro area. You are going to be right on the rain-snow line with this second system. That means it could start as snow Tuesday evening, mix with or change to freezing rain overnight, and then go to all rain by Wednesday morning. The timing matters here. If you have a Tuesday evening commute, give yourself extra time. The transition from rain to freezing rain can happen in minutes, and all it takes is one bridge to be iced over. New York. The city itself will probably see mostly rain with maybe a brief changeover to snow, but go just 50 miles north up into the Hudson Valley, the Catskills, and definitely into the capital region around Albany, and you are looking at real snow. 3 to 6 inches is on the table. Interior New England even more, Boston, and all of New England. Here is the deal. You are not done with winter. I know some of you thought you were, especially after that warm stretch. But Boston could see another 2 to 4 inches of snow with this system, and areas of northern New England, think Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, could see 6 inches or more. This happens mainly Tuesday night into Wednesday. Now let me go through the full 70-plus city forecast. And I want you to listen for your city because the timing and impacts are different for everyone, starting in the west and moving east. Denver, Colorado, you are mostly going to miss the worst of this, but a clipper system could clip you with a dusting to an inch of snow early next week. Not a big deal for you. But the Front Range and the higher elevations of the Rockies, this is normally your big snow month. March dumps more snow on the Colorado Rockies than any other month, and with the active pattern setting up, expect multiple rounds of mountain snow through mid-March. Albuquerque, New Mexico, dry and quiet for now. You are south of the main storm track. Enjoy it while it lasts because the second week of March could get interesting even for you. Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Here is where the script flips. You transition from winter weather to severe weather. Monday and Tuesday, you might see some cold rain. But by Wednesday, March 4th, a strong, low-pressure system ejects across the southern plains, and that is when the severe weather threat fires up. The Storm Prediction Center has already issued a Day 5 slight risk of severe weather for Wednesday, and you are right in it. Damaging winds, large hail, possibly tornadoes. The warm sector ahead of this system is going to be loaded with moisture. Dew points in the low to mid-60s. That is jet fuel for thunderstorms in early March. Dallas and Fort Worth, same story. Wednesday is your day to watch. Severe storms could roll through during the afternoon and evening hours. And here is what makes this particularly concerning. The jet stream at 18,000 feet is screaming across this region at 60 to 70 knots. When you have that kind of upper-level energy riding over surface dew points in the mid-60s, you are not just getting regular thunderstorms. You are getting supercells, the kind that rotate, the kind that produce tornadoes. I want you to have a plan. Know where your safe room is, make sure your weather alerts are turned on, and do not wait until the sirens go off to take shelter. By then, it can be too late. If you have kids in school, make sure the school has an active weather plan. If you work in a building without a basement, identify the lowest interior room with no windows. These are the things you think about now, not when the sky turns green. Waco and Temple, Texas. You are in the same corridor as Dallas. Wednesday afternoon through evening. Be ready for anything. The atmosphere in your area will be loaded with energy. Surface temperatures in the upper 70s with dew points in the 60s. That creates what meteorologists call CAPE, which stands for Convective Available Potential Energy. Think of it as fuel for thunderstorms. When CAPE values get above 1,000 joules per kilogram, that is enough to power severe storms. Your area could see CAPE values well above that threshold on Wednesday, Little Rock, Arkansas. You are right in the bullseye of the severe weather threat for Wednesday. The combination of strong wind shear in the upper atmosphere and a very moist air mass at the surface creates the perfect setup for supercell thunderstorms. These are the ones that produce the big tornadoes. Now, I am not saying that is definitely going to happen, but the ingredients are there and that should put you on high alert. Texarkana. You are in that sweet spot where the shear and the instability overlap. Any storms that develop in your area Wednesday afternoon could be intense. This is not a day to be outside watching clouds, now Memphis, Tennessee. You are on the eastern edge of the Wednesday severe weather threat, but you are not out of the woods. As the system moves east Thursday and Friday, Memphis picks up heavy rain. And here is the problem. This is not a one-and-done event. Multiple storm systems are going to track over the same areas of the south-central United States between now and March 12th. The European model ensemble is showing some areas receiving over 6 inches of rain. That is half a foot. For areas of Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, and Mississippi, flooding is going to become a serious concern. Nashville, Tennessee. Your severe weather window is more likely Thursday into Friday. As the energy from Wednesday's system moves eastward, you could see a line of storms push through. Keep an eye on the forecasts as we get closer. Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina. You are all in the zone for potential severe weather between Thursday and next weekend. The exact timing depends on how fast each wave of energy moves through, but the pattern is clear. Wave after wave of moisture and energy is going to march across the southern and eastern United States. Let us talk about the Northeast and the cold. But wait, before I move on, I need to tell you what happens after these two storms, because this is the part most people are going to miss. And this is what I promised you at the 5-minute mark. So here it is. After these two storms push through, the pattern does not calm down. It actually gets more extreme. Starting around March 5th through March 9th, a massive ridge of high pressure builds across the eastern United States. Now, in plain English, that means a heat dome. In early March, here is what that looks like in real numbers. Chicago, you could see highs in the upper 40s to mid-50s in early March. That is 15 to 20 degrees above normal. Indianapolis, same thing. Columbus, Ohio, you might hit 60. Washington, D.C., highs could reach the upper 60s to low 70s. 70 degrees in early March in D.C. Let that sink in. Down south, it gets even crazier. Houston, Dallas, you are looking at 80s. San Antonio and South Texas, you could push into the low 90s. In fact, South Texas already hit triple digits just a couple days ago. Record-breaking heat in February. Let me say that again. 100-degree temperatures in February in the United States. That is the kind of thing that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago, and now it is just another data point in a pattern that is getting harder and harder to ignore. New York City, you might see 60 to 65 degrees. Boston, upper 50s. Philadelphia, easily hitting the low 60s. Even Portland, Maine could sniff 50 degrees. This is the kind of warmth that tricks the cherry blossoms into blooming, makes the pollen explode across the south, and lulls everyone into thinking spring is here for good. And if you have allergies, by the way, this warm-up is going to be brutal. When temperatures spike this hard this fast in early March, every tree that has been dormant all winter wakes up at once. Pollen counts are going to go through the roof, especially from Atlanta down to Houston. If you are allergy-prone, stock up now. I am not kidding, but here is the twist. And this is the part almost nobody is talking about. Do not skip ahead. This is the payoff I promised you. Around March 10th, give or take a day, the models are starting to show signs of a dramatic pattern reversal, a disruption of the polar vortex. Let me explain what that means because it sounds technical, but the impact is very real. The polar vortex is a giant spinning mass of cold air that normally sits locked up over the Arctic. Think of it like a spinning top. When it is spinning fast and steady, the cold air stays bottled up to the north. But sometimes, events in the stratosphere, about 100,000 feet up, can weaken that spin. When that happens, the top starts to wobble. And when it wobbles, massive tongues of Arctic air spill southward. This already happened once this winter, and models are now showing it could happen again around mid-March. The European model is showing something wild. After March 10th, temperatures that were 20 to 30 degrees above average could crash to 20 to 30 degrees below average. That is a potential 50 to 60 degree temperature swing in less than a week. Imagine going from 70 degrees in Nashville to 30 degrees, from 80 in Dallas to 45, from 60 in New York to 25. That is not a gradual seasonal shift. That is a weather whiplash event. And weather whiplash is dangerous for a lot of reasons people do not think about. Your pipes. If you have already winterized your home for spring and then temperatures crash back into the 20s, you could be looking at burst pipes. Your plants. If the warm-up triggers early blooming and then a hard freeze rolls through, you could lose entire orchards. Farmers across the South know this pattern all too well. A false spring followed by a killing freeze. It has destroyed billions of dollars worth of crops in past years. And your health. Rapid temperature swings put stress on the cardiovascular system. Emergency room visits spike during weather whiplash events, particularly among adults over 60. Now, I want to be clear, this is still 8 to 10 days out for the cold crash part. That is far enough that the exact details will absolutely change. The warm-up, that is high confidence, models agree on it. The cold crash, that is medium confidence, but trending in a very concerning direction. Both the GFS and the European model are showing this same general pattern, a massive warm-up followed by a dramatic cold crash. And when you have that kind of temperature contrast meeting up with a very active jet stream, you get storms. Big ones. The kind that make national headlines. And there is one more piece to this puzzle. The Climate Prediction Center, which is run by actual human forecasters, not just computer models, has already flagged this. They have issued a high risk of heavy precipitation for a 3-day window between March 7th and 10th across the south-central United States. A moderate risk extends from the 7th to the 11th, and a slight risk covers nearly an entire week from March 7th through the 13th. When the Climate Prediction Center starts using words like high risk this far in advance, you pay attention. That tells you the signal is strong. That tells you the pattern is locked in. This is why the second week of March could be the most impactful weather week we have seen in months. Possible late-season winter storms much further south than normal. Another round of severe weather and tornadoes as the cold and warm air collide. And flooding because all of this precipitation is falling on saturated ground. Let me give you the full city-by-city breakdown for the rest of the country now. Minneapolis and St. Paul. Tomorrow is going to be brutal. A clipper system is dropping a few inches of snow across the Dakotas into Minnesota today, and behind it, an Arctic blast sends your temperatures plummeting. Wind chills below zero tomorrow morning. Monday morning, even worse. But here is the thing. By next Thursday or Friday, you could be flirting with 50 degrees. That is a 40 to 50 degree temperature swing in less than a week. Your body will not know what season it is. Milwaukee and Green Bay. Same Arctic blast hits you Sunday into Monday. 2 to 4 inches of snow possible as the clipper pushes through Wisconsin, then bitter cold for a couple of days. But that warm-up next week reaches you too. Upper 40s by Thursday. Detroit and Grand Rapids. The clipper system clips southern lower Michigan with a band of snow, mainly north of the Interstate 94 corridor, 1 to 3 inches possible. A brief shot of freezing rain or sleet is possible Monday morning along the Interstate 69 corridor. Watch for icy roads Monday morning. Then the warm-up arrives midweek. Cleveland and Akron, you are in a tricky spot with storm number 2 on Tuesday. Snow on the front end, transitioning to freezing rain, then rain. Total snow accumulation may be 2 to 4 inches with a light glaze of ice on top. Tuesday evening commute could be a problem. Pittsburgh, very similar to Cleveland. The Tuesday night system brings a mix of snow and ice. 3 to 5 inches of snow possible in the hills east of the city, less in the city itself. Ice accumulation up to 1/10 of an inch. Buffalo and Syracuse. You get hit from both the lake effect machine and the synoptic system Tuesday into Wednesday. 4 to 8 inches of snow possible with locally higher amounts in the persistent lake effect bands. For you, this is just another Tuesday, but do not ignore it. Portland, Maine, and Bangor. The Tuesday night into Wednesday system is going to end as snow for you. 4 to 6 inches widely, with pockets of 8 inches or more in the mountains of western Maine. Wednesday morning commute will be slow. Burlington, Vermont, and Montpelier. 6 to 8 inches of snow possible Tuesday night through Wednesday. Schools may need to consider closures. The snow will be heavy and wet, the kind that causes power outages. Hartford, Connecticut, and Providence, Rhode Island. You are on the rain-snow line. It could start as snow Tuesday evening, 2 to 3 inches before a changeover to rain. But if the storm tracks a little further south than expected, you could stay mostly snow and see higher totals. Washington, D.C. and the greater metro area. Tuesday evening is your watch time. It may start as snow or a wintry mix, then change to rain. But Wednesday through the following week, 60s and 70s. The cherry blossoms are going to be very confused. Richmond, Virginia, similar story. Brief shot of winter weather Tuesday, then a big warm-up. But your severe weather risk increases Friday and next weekend as the active pattern continues. Raleigh and Durham, North Carolina, you are in a weird spot. The cold air funneling down east of the Appalachians on Monday could drop your temperature sharply for a couple of days. Highs only in the upper 30s to low 40s. Then it warms right back up, 60s by midweek. But your severe weather risk is real toward next weekend. Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia. Minimal winter weather impacts for you. Your concern is the severe weather threat later next week and the potential for heavy rain and flooding as multiple systems track overhead. Here's what I want you to watch. If you notice it has been raining every weekend since December, you are not imagining things. That has been the pattern across much of the South. Weekend after weekend of either snow, ice, or heavy rain. And March looks like it is going to continue that trend. So if you have outdoor plans next weekend, have a backup. Knoxville, Tennessee. You sit in an interesting spot right at the base of the Smoky Mountains. Storm number 2 on Tuesday could bring a mix of snow and freezing rain to the higher elevations east of the city, while the city itself sees mostly cold rain. But your severe weather window opens Thursday into Friday as the southern stream of energy slides through. Keep your weather radio charged. Huntsville, Alabama. You know the drill better than most. Huntsville sits in one of the most tornado-prone corridors in the country. Wednesday through next weekend, multiple rounds of severe weather are possible in your area. The combination of strong upper-level wind shear and rich Gulf moisture is textbook severe weather setup. This is not the time to be complacent. Greenville and Spartanburg, South Carolina. You are in the foothills, and that matters. Cold air gets trapped against the eastern slopes of the Appalachians in your area, which means when warm, moist air rides over the top of it, you get freezing rain. Monday into Tuesday could bring some light icing to the foothills. Not a major event, but enough to make bridges and overpasses treacherous during the morning commute. Jacksonville and Orlando, Florida. Some thunderstorms are possible today across central Florida. But looking ahead, the main concern for you is heavy rain and a growing severe weather risk between Thursday and next weekend. Orlando, I know you think you are safe from severe weather because you are in Florida, but look at the dew points heading your way. Mid to upper 60s, that is serious moisture. And when a front pushes through with any kind of upper-level support, you can absolutely get severe thunderstorms in central Florida. Tampa and Miami, you are on the southern edge of all of this, warm and humid. Dew points in the 60s and 70s. You will feed the moisture into these storm systems like a fire hose pointed north, but your direct severe weather threat is lower. Still, Tampa, keep an eye out for any storms that develop along the front as it pushes through late next week. And Miami, your biggest concern, honestly, is rip currents along the coast as these systems churn up the Atlantic. Now, let me take you through the Gulf Coast and the interior south. New Orleans. Heavy rain is your primary threat. And look, New Orleans does not need me to explain what heavy rain means for a city that sits below sea level. Between now and March 12th, multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms could dump 4 to 6 inches of rain or more across southeastern Louisiana. The European model ensemble is screaming moisture in your area. That is not something to take lightly. Make sure your sump pump works. Make sure your storm drains are clear. Severe weather is also possible Wednesday through the end of next week. And one thing people forget about New Orleans, when severe storms hit the Gulf Coast, they often come in at night. Nighttime tornadoes are the most dangerous kind because people are asleep. Keep your phone alerts on. Volume up. Do not silence them. Baton Rouge and Shreveport. Same concerns. Heavy rain, severe weather. The pattern is relentless. Wave after wave is going to ride over your area like a conveyor belt of storms. Shreveport, you are closer to the severe weather bullseye on Wednesday. Baton Rouge, your heavier rain comes Thursday through the weekend. Jackson, Mississippi, you are in the overlap zone between flooding rain and severe weather. Wednesday through next weekend, stay alert. Multiple days of potential severe storms. And here is the thing about Jackson. The Pearl River has flooded catastrophically before. If we get 4 to 6 inches of rain over a week in the upper watershed, river levels are going to rise. Keep an eye on river gauges if you live anywhere near the floodplain. Hattiesburg and Meridian, Mississippi, you are in the same boat as Jackson. Heavy rain and severe weather potential from Wednesday onward. Be ready for multiple rounds. Mobile, Alabama, and Pensacola, Florida. Heavy rain and severe storms, particularly Thursday through Saturday. Mobile Bay can get rough when strong southerly winds ahead of these fronts push water inland. Coastal flooding is a secondary concern for your area, Houston and San Antonio. You are going to be warm, very warm. Highs in the 80s, possibly 90s in South Texas, but with dew points in the mid-60s, the atmosphere will be primed for severe weather when those fronts push through. Your main severe weather window is Wednesday evening through Thursday, Austin. Similar to Houston, warm, humid, and unstable ahead of each passing system. Wednesday into Thursday is your primary risk window, El Paso. You are far enough west that the main storm train misses you, but some moisture could sneak in later next week, mostly dry and warm. Heading up into the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. St. Louis, I already mentioned you, but let me emphasize, you are the city I am most concerned about this weekend. The uncertainty is high, but the potential for a surprise snowfall of 3 to 6 inches tomorrow night into Monday is very real. Ice is also on the table. Please be ready. Indianapolis. Storm number 1 brushes you with snow and a wintry mix Monday, maybe an inch or two. Storm number 2 brings rain Tuesday night. Then warm air floods in. By next weekend, you could be in the low 60s. Severe weather risk increases as we push into the second week of March, Louisville. Ice is your main concern Monday morning. Even a light glaze can cause accidents and outages. After that, temperatures climb into the 60s by midweek. Lexington, Kentucky. Same ice concerns as Louisville Monday morning. Watch the bridges. They freeze first, always. Columbus, Ohio. Mix of snow and rain. Monday transitioning to rain Tuesday. Not a major event, but slick roads are possible. Then the warm-up, 50s and 60s by Thursday and Friday, Toledo and Dayton, similar to Columbus. Minor winter weather impacts Monday, then a quick warm-up, heading to the northern plains and the upper Midwest, Fargo and Bismarck, North Dakota. Snow is falling right now, 2 to 4 inches expected through today. Bitter cold follows. Highs tomorrow in the single digits, wind chills well below zero. Dangerous cold for anybody who has to be outside, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Clipper catches you with a couple inches of snow today, then the cold blast. But you warm up faster than the Dakotas. 40s possible by late next week. Omaha, Nebraska. You are on the edge of storm number 1. Some snow or a wintry mix is possible tomorrow evening through Monday morning. Accumulation is uncertain. Could be a dusting, could be a couple of inches. The freezing line runs dangerously close to your area. After that, big warm up. Des Moines, Iowa. Similar to Omaha, but slightly north of the worst precipitation, cold blast hits you hard Monday. Highs in the teens, but by Thursday, you could be back in the upper 40s. Now let me touch the West Coast because I know you are out there wondering if any of this affects you. Seattle and Portland, Oregon. A system swings through with rain and mountain snow over the Cascades. Nothing extreme. But here is the thing about the Pacific Northwest. While the rest of the country is dealing with above-average warmth, you are actually going to run cooler than normal. Below-average temperatures are expected to hang on across the Pacific Northwest through the first week of March. So while everyone east of the Rockies is talking about spring and breaking out the shorts, you are still in winter mode. Seattle, expect highs in the mid-40s with rain on and off through the week. Not unusual for you, but the contrast with the rest of the country is striking. San Francisco and Los Angeles, dry and pleasant. No major storm systems in the pipeline for you this week. San Francisco, highs near 60. Los Angeles, 70s. Enjoy it, but do not get too comfortable. The second week of March could bring some changes to the West Coast as that big trough digs into the western United States. We will have more details on that as we get closer. Sacramento and the Central Valley. Dry for now, but the snowpack in the Sierra Nevada is something to keep an eye on. Any storms that develop later in March could bring rapid snowmelt if they come with warm rain, and that means potential for river flooding downstream. It is too early to call that, but it is on the radar. Phoenix and Tucson, warm and dry. Highs in the mid to upper 70s, nothing to report. You are in your sweet spot right now. Las Vegas, same as Phoenix, dry and warm. Low 80s possible by midweek. If you are visiting, enjoy the weather. It is perfect right now. Salt Lake City. A disturbance brings some mountain snow to the Wasatch Range, but the valleys stay mostly dry. The Rockies will continue to pick up snow through March, which is great news for the ski resorts and the snowpack. Big Cottonwood and Little Cottonwood canyons could see another foot of snow or more over the next 10 days. If you are a skier, March is your month. Boise, Idaho. A couple of systems bring mixed precipitation through the week. Nothing major, temperatures running near to slightly below average, not much to worry about. Spokane, Washington. You are getting the tail end of that Pacific Northwest cool pattern. Highs in the upper 30s to low 40s with a chance of snow showers. Nothing big, but keep the winter coat handy. Now let me swing back through a few cities I want to add to make sure nobody is left out. Springfield, Missouri. You are in the danger zone for storm number 1. Tomorrow night into Monday, heavy wet snow could surprise this area. Some models are showing 3 to 4 inches, others barely anything. This is one of those forecasts where you have to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. If you have to drive Monday morning, give yourself extra time. Joplin, Missouri. Similar to Springfield, snow and ice are possible tomorrow night. And then your severe weather risk ramps up midweek. Paducah, Kentucky. Right in the transition zone between snow and freezing rain. Monday morning could be treacherous, and this is a city that knows what ice storms can do. Remember 2009? A quarter-inch of ice brought western Kentucky to its knees for weeks. I am not saying that is going to happen again, but even a light glaze deserves your attention. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mentioned you earlier, but let me give you more detail. Wednesday afternoon, watch for storms to develop to your west and southwest and move in during the late afternoon to evening hours. The Storm Prediction Center has you in the slight risk, which is a level 2 out of 5. That does not mean minor. It means scattered severe storms are possible. Any one of those storms could produce damaging winds of 60 miles per hour or more, hail up to the size of quarters, or an isolated tornado. Do not blow this off. Springfield, Illinois. Storm number 1 could clip you with snow or a wintry mix Monday. Maybe an inch or 2 on grassy surfaces. Not a major event, but the roads could be slick during the morning commute. Then the warm-up midweek. Then the potential for severe weather toward next weekend. Evansville, Indiana, I mentioned you in the ice discussion, but I want to add this. Your dew points by next Saturday could be in the low 60s in early March. In southern Indiana, that is Gulf of Mexico air pushing all the way to your doorstep, and when that happens, severe weather follows. Watch for storms Thursday night into Friday. All right, let me bring this all together because I know that was a lot. Here is the summary of what you need to know. Today and tomorrow, the northern plains get hit with a clipper. Snow and bitter cold. Nothing unusual, but still dangerous. Tomorrow night through Monday, storm number 1 brings snow and ice from Kansas through Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, and into Virginia. St. Louis, Kansas City, and Louisville are the cities I am watching most closely. Freezing rain is the wild card. Tuesday through Wednesday, storm number 2 moves into the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Snow and ice from Pennsylvania through New England. 3 to 6 inches of snow possible for interior areas. Ice accumulation could cause power outages in the mountains. Wednesday, severe weather fires up across the southern plains. Dallas, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, and Texarkana are in the crosshairs. Damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes are all possible. This is the first real severe weather day of the season. Thursday through next weekend, the active pattern continues. Heavy rain and severe weather spread from the southern plains through the Ohio Valley and into the southeast. Flooding becomes a growing concern. March 5th through 9th, a massive warm-up takes hold across the eastern 2/3 of the country. Record-breaking warmth is possible. 70s from D.C. to Chicago, 80s and 90s across the south. The pollen explosion will be historic across the southeast. If you have allergies, I am warning you now. And then, around March 10th, the potential pattern flip. Polar vortex disruption, dramatic cold crash, and a whole new round of storms. This is the one that could bring winter back to places that thought they were done. We are talking about the potential for snow as far south as northern Alabama and Georgia if the cold air verifies as strong as some models suggest. Again, this is far out, but the signal is there, and it is getting stronger with each model run. Let me also add something for those of you who have been watching the pattern all winter. You have probably noticed that it has been snowing, icing, or raining nearly every single weekend since December across much of the south and east. Weekend after weekend of active weather. It has been relentless. And March is not going to break that streak. In fact, the first 2 weekends of March look just as active, if not more so, than what we have already been through. So if you have been thinking that this winter has been unusually disruptive to your weekend plans, you are right, and it is not over yet. Here is something else that is worth understanding about this pattern. March is the great transition month. It is the month where winter and spring literally go to war with each other. Cold Arctic air is still powerful enough to plunge south, but the sun angle is higher now. The days are longer. The Gulf of Mexico is warming up. And that means when cold and warm air collide, the collisions are more violent than they are in January or February. January gives you cold and snow. March gives you cold, warmth, tornadoes, ice storms, floods, and 80-degree days all in the same week. It is the most chaotic weather month of the year, and this March is shaping up to be one for the record books. This is not a one-and-done week. This is a weather marathon, and the whole country is running it. Now, I need to remind you of something. Please, please, please comment below with your city or town. I am going through the comments and giving people specific forecasts. If I did not mention your area in this video, or if you need more detail, that is what the comments are for. I read every single one. And here is what you do not want to miss. In our next video, we are going to do a deep dive into that polar vortex disruption. Because if it verifies, the second half of March could bring winter weather to places that thought they were done. We are talking snow in areas that have already put away their shovels. We are talking another potential ice storm. And we are talking about a severe weather season that ramps up faster than anything we have seen in the last 5 years. The clash between that late-season cold and the building spring warmth could produce tornado outbreaks that rival what we typically see in April and May. March 2026 could end up being a month that weather historians talk about for years. And that is not all. There are whispers in the long-range models about what happens in late March and early April. I do not want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the pattern that is setting up right now has echoes of some of the most active severe weather seasons in recent memory. 2011, 2019. If you know those years, you know what I am talking about. We will break all of that down in the next video. Make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification bell, because when these storms start rolling in, you are going to want updates in real time. We will be live on this channel as the severe weather event unfolds on Wednesday. And I would not be surprised if we have to go live multiple times next week, given how active this pattern is. Every single system that ejects over the Rockies is going to need its own update. Every shift in the freezing line changes who gets snow versus ice versus rain, and every wobble in that polar vortex changes the long-range outlook for the second half of March. This is a pattern that demands daily attention, and I am going to be here every single day giving you exactly that. One more thing, if you know someone who lives in any of the cities I mentioned, especially the ones in the ice and severe weather zones, share this video with them. Do it right now before you forget. A 2-second share could save someone from driving into an ice storm they did not know was coming. It could give a family in Tornado Alley the extra 30 minutes they need to prepare. It could remind an elderly neighbor to charge their phone and fill their prescriptions before the power goes out. Weather does not care about our plans. It does not care about our commutes or our schedules or our weekends. All we can do is respect it, prepare for it, and help each other get through it. And I want to say one more thing before I go. I have been doing this for a while now, and every single time a major weather event is coming, there are people who see the forecast, shrug it off, and say it will not be that bad. And sometimes they are right, but sometimes they are not. And the people who were not prepared are the ones who end up stranded on the highway at 2 a.m. in an ice storm with no blankets in the car. They are the ones who lose power for 3 days and have no way to keep their medication cold. They are the ones who did not check the forecast and drove their family right into a tornadic supercell because they thought the storm would pass. I am not trying to scare you. That is not what this is about. This is about information. This is about giving you the data you need to make smart decisions for yourself and your family. The storms are coming whether we talk about them or not. The only question is whether you are ready. So here is your action list. And yes, I said action list because watching the forecast is only half the job. The other half is actually doing something about it. If you are in the snow and ice zone, Central Plains through the Northeast, make sure your car has a full tank of gas. Have extra blankets, water, and a phone charger in the car. If you lose power, know where the nearest warming shelter is. If you are in the severe weather zone, Southern Plains through the Deep South, make sure everyone in your household knows the plan. Where do you go when the tornado warning sounds? If you live in a mobile home, identify a nearby sturdy building you can get to quickly. Have shoes by your bed in case storms hit at night and you need to move fast. If you are in the flood zone, lower Mississippi Valley, Gulf Coast, do not drive through flooded roads. Turn around, do not drown. I know you have heard that phrase 1,000 times, but it exists for a reason. It is the #1 cause of flood-related deaths in America. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock you off your feet. 12 inches can carry away a small car. 2 feet of moving water will sweep away an SUV or a pickup truck. Do not test it. No shortcut is worth your life. And for all of you, keep your phone charged. Keep weather alerts on, and keep watching this channel because I am going to be tracking every single one of these systems in real time. Stay safe out there. I will see you in the next one.